Challenge me, mortal? A god of Olympus?
Did you know that the classic movie Clash of the Titans changed the original Medusa forever? When making the Greek mythology monsters and creating their model for 3D holograms, I discovered some fascinating insights into the appearance and behavior of the mythology monsters. I also noticed that the popular video game series, God of War, has surprising inaccuracies found in the monster designs. But it's not a bad thing, it shows the purpose of the enemies in the game and how fascinating modern art fantasy works. Let's start looking at these monsters and see how different they are compared to their mythology counterpart. Now let's start with something popular, Medusa. She was a monster known for her tragic origin and ability to turn onlookers into stone. Medusa has become famous thanks to her appearance in the 1981 movie Clash of the Titans. However, this portrayal changed her appearance forever in later representations, such as in the God of War series. Medusa appears more serpent-like being, emphasizing her reptilian nature. She possesses an elongated, snake-like lower body with scaly skin and a distinct absence of humanoid features. This depiction of Medusa in the God of War games deviates significantly from the traditional portrayal in Greek mythology. The only thing that is similar is her full of venomous snake hair that she received as punishment from Athena. Originally, Medusas were humanoid creatures with boar's tusks, rooster feet, brass hands, and bronze wings. And no, the traditional depiction of Medusa did not include a snake tail or reptilian features. This feature seems like taking inspiration from Lamia, a half-snake half-woman from Greek mythology. Next is the creature that even doesn't appear in Greek mythology, but is featured in God of War anyway. Banshee, she's a creature from Irish mythology that's said to be an omen of death, and has a terrifying scream that can kill humans. In God of War, their ability seems to keep similar, but their appearance is way different. They are depicted as half-woman half-snake, with their lower bodies transformed into serpent tails. In legend, Banshee has the appearance of a ghostly female figure. She often appears as a veiled woman dressed in flowing white or gray robes. Interestingly, the Banshees in God of War seem to be a mix of Lamia and Sirens, with the appearance of the former and the abilities of the latter. It's a unique take on the creature, but one that deviates quite a bit from the original myth. The next monster is Sirens. In the God of War series, Sirens are portrayed as women with long and flowing dark hair. However, their appearance takes a gruesome turn as their faces are depicted as decomposing flesh, while their mouths can open monstrously wide. In Greek mythology, they were a group of beautiful bird women who lived on an island in the sea and sang songs to lure sailors to their death. In the game, they undergo significant changes such as their bird-like bodies, their island location, and their ability to seduce through captivating voices. But they gain others, such as their decomposing face, their magical powers, and their destructive voice capable of even harming Zeus himself. But at least, Sirens remain a human body. The next legendary monster even lost her human side. In Greek mythology, nymphs were revered as enchanting beings, often associated with nature and its various elements. They were known for their beauty and grace, and were considered the daughters of gods, entrusted with safeguarding the wilderness. However, in God of War 2, nymphs take on a remarkably different form. Rather than retaining their human side, they undergo a striking transformation. Nymphs are portrayed as small, pesky enemies, resembling large bluish flying bugs with 4 pairs of wings. Again, nymphs in Greek mythology were guardians of the wilderness. Next, we encounter the fearsome Basilisk, a legendary creature from European folklore. In the game God of War, the Basilisk appears as one of the first bosses. In-game, the Basilisk is a giant fire-breathing lizard-like monster with a sail upon its back, a membrane between its front and back legs, and a spiked tail. Kratos encounters the Basilisk when it interrupts a fight between him and a Cyclops. After a fierce battle, Kratos kills it by jumping on its head and pulling its jaw together, causing its mouth to explode. In mythology, the Basilisk is a reptilian-like creature that's said to be born from the egg of a toad that nested for 9 years. It has a serpentine body accented with rooster feathers and the ability to breathe fire. According to legends, its gaze can instantly kill anything and anyone who looks into its eyes. Basileish appearance in-game is similar to real-life prehistoric creatures like the Spinosaurus and Dimetrodon, more than the creature that it was inspired from. Despite the Kraken being a creature from Norse mythology, its inclusion in God of War 2 fits perfectly with the game's theme of epic battles against legendary monsters. In God of War 2, the Kraken is one of the enemies that Kratos encounters on his quest to reach the Sisters of Fate. It is depicted as a ferocious beast with a massive, fang mouth with only 4 tentacles, 2 of which are armored with spikes. It also has a large mouth with fangs, 2 eyes, and spines or gills on its head, which are not typical features of cephalopods. From mythology, Kraken was an octopus-like creature with long tentacles that could pull down ships. The mythological Kraken was so huge that it could be mistaken for land or an island. The game version of the Kraken is much smaller. It is worth mentioning that the appearance of the Kraken in the game is considered to be influenced by the creature of the same name featured in the 1981 film Clash of the Titans, which contributed to its distinctive design and portrayal. Let's now turn our attention to Charybdis, the legendary sea monster that has been depicted in various forms throughout history. In the game, Charybdis takes on the form of a ferocious beast with multiple tentacles and a massive, menacing mouth. However, it's important to note that this depiction in the game differs significantly from its traditional portrayal of the monster. In Greek mythology, Charybdis is a giant whirlpool monster. She was the daughter of Poseidon and was subjected to punishment by Zeus, who transformed her into a monstrous creature as retribution. Charybdis possessed the ability to swallow vast amounts of water 3 times a day, resulting in the creation of treacherous whirlpools that could engulf ships and sailors, causing them to sink. But, the most notable deviation from mythology occurs in the game's storyline. It is revealed that Charybdis is, in fact, Alecto herself, which is an inaccurate representation compared to the original myth. Charybdis and Alecto are 2 different entities. The next monster is Geryon. He is a grandson of Medusa, and a fearsome giant who dwelt on the island of Erythea. According to Hesiod, Geryon possessed 1 body and 3 heads, while Aeschylus's tradition attributed him 3 bodies. In the game God of War, Ghost of Sparta, Kratos encounters massive beasts Geryons, serving as guardians of Atlantis under Poseidon's command. These creatures possess 1 head and 2 sets of arms. Notably, they wield gigantic metal orbs capable of shooting lightning. Alongside their lightning attacks, Geryons display teleportation abilities and can create devastating shockwaves. Interestingly, the orb carried by Geryons bears a reference to Orthrus, the 2-headed hound and brother of Cerberus. Orthrus is also famously known as one of Hercules' primary adversaries during his 10th labor. The upcoming creature is known as Hippocampi. In Greek mythology, they were the legendary horses of Poseidon, the god of the sea. They were typically depicted as creatures with the upper bodies of horses and the lower bodies of fish, capable of walking on water. These majestic creatures served as Poseidon's loyal steeds, elegantly pulling his chariot through the waves. Adorned with pearls and shells, they were symbolized as graceful and elegant beings. In God of War 3, they possessed the head of a horse and the body of a serpent, with arthropod limbs and claws. Their tails are connected to Poseidon's torso, acting as his arms. While still associated with Poseidon and serving as his loyal beasts, the Hippocampi in the game are depicted as massive arthropodal creatures possessing incredible strength and formidable water-based abilities. It is worth noting that, in the opening cinematic of the game, Poseidon is seen with a miniature version of the hippocamp on his arm, suggesting their ability to grow to immense sizes. In fact, the Hippocampi in God of War 3 are arguably the largest, strongest, and most durable beasts to ever exist in the God of War universe. The next monster on the list is the Sphinx. In Egyptian and Greek mythology, Sphinx was depicted as a monster with the body of a lion and the head of a human female. She's often portrayed with wings on its back. She would give a riddle, and if anyone couldn't solve it, the Sphinx would kill them. With the riddle solved, the Sphinx killed herself. The Sphinx in God of War shares some similarities with its mythological counterparts, being regarded as a guardian or protector of sacred locations like temples or tombs. However, there are also notable differences between them. It does not have any human features or wings. In the game, it looks like a saber-toothed cat rather than a half-woman, half-lion creature with wings. In Greek mythology, Scylla was a fearsome monster that resided on one side of a narrow water channel, positioned opposite her counterpart, Charybdis. Scylla had 6 long necks with grisly heads, each of which contained 3 rows of sharp teeth. She also had a fish or dragon-like tail. In God of War, Ghost of Sparta, Scylla was a sea beast that Kratos encountered on his journey to Atlantis. While Scylla in God of War retains some of her key characteristics, such as her 6 tentacles, which represent her 6 long monstrous heads from the legend. She also has a fishtail, similar to her original counterpart. However, there are some major differences, as she doesn't have a female body or the 6 distinct heads as described in the legend. The final and most significant departure from the original mythology is Typhon, the father of all monsters. In Greek mythology, Typhon was renowned as the most deadly and most popular monster ever, often referred to as the father of all monsters. Typhon was also the father of thousands of monsters, including the Hydra, Cerberus, Chimera, and Sphinx. He was a huge creature with a human upper half and a snake-like lower half. He had 100 dragon heads on his hands and wings on his back. He could breathe fire and create storms with his breath. Nevertheless, in God of War 2, Typhon is addressed as a titan, deviating from his classification as a ferocious monster in the original myths. Furthermore, in the game, Typhon is imprisoned within a frozen mountain, with his arms and body trapped to diminish his powers. This contrasts with the mythological depiction where Typhon was akin to a fire monster. The game's rendition of Typhon presents him as a giant creature with a human upper half and a rocky lower half. He lacks the wings and dragon heads associated with his mythological representation. During Kratos' journey towards Typhon, Gaia also mentions her Titan brother slumbers. However, in reality, Typhon is not a genuine Titan and is instead Gaia's child. The term brother mostly prefer him as a normal Titan, which is totally different for his mythology origin. While Typhon in God of War retains some of his key characteristics, such as his immense size and fearsome appearance, there are significant differences between the game's portrayal and his mythological counterpart.
So I did a whole lot of sketches that followed the canon to a T, and it was wrong. It just looked stupid.
There are various monsters that differ from their original appearances, such as the Minotaur, Medusa, Cyclops, and many others. But these differences are relatively minor, and I don't think we should include all of that. That's all I want to say about God of War and the representation of Greek monsters. So, see you later.